Having been born and raised in Freehold, I always had a connection to this town. At 14, for my first job, I started working at the local YMCA as a camp counselor. Shortly after, I became a volunteer basketball coach for the YMCA Colonial League, at which point I saw a lot of different makeups between families in the community, their trials and tribulations, not how difficult everyone's lives were, how easy some families had it. And I did that for about 14 years, and it drew me to want to become a teacher. I went to school to become a teacher, and just felt like law enforcement had to be it. I needed a connection with the community, and this was a better connection. I felt like I was better suited and able to serve the community better in this position. I worked for social services prior to becoming a police officer for about 4.5 years. And again, drawn to the community, still volunteering at that time. I just figured, you know what, let me see if I can make this happen or what have you, and see what avenue I could take. If this is the better avenue for me to be able to help the community. Since then, it's worked. I have a connection. A lot of the kids that I've dealt with in the past are now adults having kids, which has enabled me to utilize that to my advantage, to help or to help me help them, or to try to help me, whether it's solving a case or just in general keeping that connection going that we need in this community.
You get those gratifying moments. I guess they come and go, right? As you said, somebody will thank you and sort of acknowledgement of the things that you've helped somebody with or whatever. But you got that one moment. That one moment where it's just not sure, right?
Yeah, there was the one moment that I have. I had been 7 months out of the academy, and we had a fatal house fire in town, and fairly new, still inexperienced, not realizing what the job entails. And my squad responds, and this house is totally engulfed in flames. And we try to get everyone out of the house, and the first person that I gravitate to is the mother that's out of the house. And I'm not realizing who lives in this house, and not that it would have mattered either way. We did everything we could at the time. But she recognizes me, and I have a son that's a year older than her daughter, that we're friends. The two of them are friends. And she's hugging me, and she's crying, and here I am. I have adopted the job to console her. And I have multiple hats here. I have to, remain professional as a police officer, but then I'm also a mother. And so now I have to engage her, and it's not it was all first-hand nature. It's just, I try to console her, and for that moment, she looked at me, and we had a connection as mothers. So this job, it broke my heart at that time, or what have you, because it's not something you ever want to encounter. You never want to be able to, you have to console someone while, with a parent that loses their child or what have you. But I had multiple things going on there. I had to now explain to my son, before he went to school, that he just lost a friend. I had to console a mother during her loss, and I had to deal with the fact that, this could have potentially been my child. So those three factors, I just never, it took me a little while to come to grips with it, but it has by far has to have been my least most memorable, but least enjoyable moment on the job. I want to say for the same reason I became a police officer, hoping that it'll make somewhat of a change. I mean, let's face it, police officers have not always been everyone's number one fan. Yeah, it's nothing new. It's a little bit more intensified, or it's a little bit more heightened, or what have you, where now before growing up, I didn't realize the dangers of a police officer as to what they have to encounter. But being in the position, you see it more now, you hear it more now, but it's always been here. So again, I'm thinking it's more so I'm okay with being here now, and I'm glad I'm here, even during these trying times, because again, I want to remain connected to the community, to be able to show, that percentage, that perception of all officers being bad, we're not bad. I've been told I'm the exception, because people know you or you treat people differently. No, I'm actually not the exception. The exception is the very few that shouldn't be police officers at the time. I'm very proud of my police department and the guys that I work with. They are no different than I am. They may have not been raised here or grown up in Freehold Borough, but they generally have the same sense of wanting to help that I do. And when people realize that, our community is very small, but we have so many people within our community, and we're all here for the same reason, to make a change, to make a difference. So I wouldn't change I wouldn't change what I do here, despite what's going on in the everyday world.